Hi.
Hello.
Hi. All right. I have a meeting. Yay. Okay, let's see who's here. I see Jason, Caitlin, and Jared. Is that how to spell it? Say your name, Caitlin?
Yes.
Cool. I've never seen that spelling before. Is it like different than everybody else?
Um.
Is it a common spelling?
Yeah. I think it's common.
I've just been out of North America for a super long time, so I'm not used to
Oh, yeah.
normal people names, I think. Hello, Patricia.
Hi.
Okay, nice to see you. I'm not sure exactly how many people are coming today. And I also just want to let you know that I just finished my classes for today. And so I'm sharing my whole desktop. And you're going to see some things that I didn't mean to show you necessarily. They're just kind of there from leftover from my classes today. Hi, Christine. Oh, it's so interesting. I'm never at the beginning of a meeting when everybody's coming in. You can see them come in. Hi, Kelly.
Hey, Rachel.
Hi, Erin.
How are you?
I'm good. Nice to see you. Kelly, did you move houses?
Not really.
Your background's
well, yes, I did. We moved from one city in Ecuador to another. So, we're in transition to going back to Texas. So that's why I'm just like, I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah.
I've had that recently too. I spent like 6 weeks in Canada. I'm like, what am I going to spend all this time doing this? And then I had to move houses again in Tanzania. So, oh, good.
Exactly.
Okay. I see Amel. Is it Amel or Amel? Or
Amel.
something different? Amel, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay, so
Hi,
Linda
Amel.
asked.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
All right. I hope that maybe Kelly. It looks like Kelly's like the most senior staff member here, other than me.
Mhm.
Kelly,
Yeah.
do you know how to raise your hand in Zoom?
Yes.
Can you describe it to us?
Sure. Okay, so everyone at the bottom of your screen, the little bar pulls up, right? Do you see that? The bar, how it pulls up? Oh, wait. You're talking about raise your hand, like.
Yeah,
Okay,
basic
got it. Sorry, I'm like, physically? Okay. Okay, so if you pull your mouse down all the way to the bottom, as far as down as it goes, and you see participants, do you see participants and it says 9?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So just click on that, and it has 2 options, one on the left that says mute me, and one on the right that says raise hand. Do you see that?
Yes.
Is it the same for everybody?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, you just basically click raise hand, and then your hand will be raised. And if you want to lower it, you just click lower hand. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
sure, no problem.
Yes, thank you.
So that's
Okay.
just a helpful thing I always mention at the beginning of a meeting. In case anyone needs to get my attention or has a question about what I just said, I'll try to keep an eye on the participants pane so I can see if anybody has a question. But if you can't figure it out, feel free just to interrupt me and say, what's that? Or Randall, or whatever you want to say. So I already apologize. I don't know if more people came in since I said this, but I apologize for my kind of what my husband called shagala bagala screen. It's got a lot of stuff on it, but I had a lot of stuff going on today, so I'm just going to try and bring up everything as we need them. So this is a training session for people who are learning how to do trial classes. And for people who have already done a few, then it might be a refresher, but you can take away what you want from it. And we're going to spend the first half of it, I'm going to go through one of my successful trial classes and tell you what I think the key elements are to include in all trial classes and how to convince parents to sign up. And for the second half of it, we're just going to do Q&A. So, and it doesn't just have to be about trial classes, but we'll try to keep the focus on that. But if anybody just has any general questions, a lot of people don't here, I haven't met before, so I don't work in any kind of administrative way for 3-1 ABC. I'm just a coach. So you might have questions about like payment or HR or stuff that I can't answer for you. But as far as teaching the class, using Zoom, using the teaching systems, we've got that pretty much covered. And there's some other coaches here that can probably share ideas as well on those things. Okay. So this is a document that will be sent out to you after this meeting called Key Elements of Successful Trial Classes. Linda sent me links to a bunch of trial classes that I did where the kids signed up, or the parents signed up, the kids didn't. And I took a look at them, and she asked me to use them as training. So I looked at them and I tried to figure out what they all have in common. And here are the list of things, 1 up to 13. And like I said, this is going to be sent to you, so you don't have to write it down or anything. 1 up to 13 of all the things that I found that I did during a successful trial class. Entertaining, playing, connecting, testing. I'm not going to read them all, but you'll get the idea. So what I'm going to do today is show you the video of one of my, actually it's kind of cringy for me to watch this particular trial class because I remember it being super stressful. I hadn't done one in a really long time. I had some technical problems. You'll see the way I dealt with them. Yeah, I hate watching it, but that's the one we're going to look at today. And then I'll show you which parts of the video are examples of these different elements of trial classes. So this document will go out to you, and this is my cheat sheet for knowing where in the video I need to mention different things. So I'm going to keep that myself and see if I can find out where I hid my movie. I think it's here. Nope, that's not it. Let's try again. Here. Yeah, that's it. All right, let's just go from the beginning and see where we get to. I think I can skip the first.
Elsa.
Elsa, what a beautiful name. Okay. Do you go to school?
Yes.
Awesome. In school, sometimes we play games. Do you like to play games? Let me show you a game. It's called I Want to Play a Game. Monkey, don't interrupt me. I was talking to Alisa. Oh, hello, Alisa. How are you today? How are you? Say, I am fine.
I am fine.
So that first little bit I noted as example of entertaining. And I think you can pull from your toolbox as a teacher about what you need to do at different times in the lesson. I immediately recognized this girl as shy. And that might be her personality, or maybe she was just standoffish because she's never talked to someone on an iPad before, was scared of me, or didn't understand my English accent, my American English accent. So I sort of recognized that she needed to be entertained and kind of like shocked into participating, because as you heard, I asked her a question, she just said nothing. So I wasn't sure if she wasn't understanding me or if she just needed to feel a little bit more comfortable. So I brought in my monkey and I tried to surprise her a little bit and get her participating right away. So, and then we're just starting into an example of modeling or coaching, which is one of the things that sets aside 3-1 ABC from other classes. If you ever hear feedback on your child classes that you need more TTT, that stands for teacher talk time, or less TTT, sorry. So basically, 3-1 ABC really wants the kids to talk as much as possible. And they don't want teachers to be teaching in a lecture-y kind of way. They want the kids to be kind of practicing what they've learned at school and correcting and adding a little bit of knowledge with each class, without sitting kids down and talking at them for 5 or 10 minutes and then testing them on it. They really want the kids to be interacting more than that. So that's why they instead of calling us teachers, they call us coaches, because the kids are supposed to be interacting with the material and we're coaching them through it. So when you see me do like this and I tell her what the answers are, I consider that coaching. So I use Monkey to interact with her, and then I tell her, you should say this. Okay, now he's gonna say that. Now you say that. That's an example of coaching. And also I'm using Monkey to model different sentences that I want her to be able to say as well.
I'm fine too. That's Alisa. Alisa, say, what is your name?
What? is your name?
My name is Randall. No, it isn't. My name is Randall. Your name is Monkey. Oh, my name is Monkey. It's nice to meet you. Say, nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you.
Good job, Alyssa. Well done.
Okay, I think that's a pretty good explanation of coaching. Oh, and I just wanted, oh, there's a little bit more. This is specifically showing them first to avoid confused silences. So often, especially at the beginning of a child class, you've never met the child before, they might be nervous, and you don't know what their level is. You're not sure if they can understand what you say. Sometimes it gets them talking faster if you have a model for them, like I use my monkey. I ask him a question, he answers it, and then I ask them the exact same question so they can answer in the same way. I find that gets them talking faster, makes them feel comfortable faster. And they also think, I'm not sure if this is true about all Chinese kids, but I think culturally that kids don't like to make mistakes there. So they feel more inclined to participate if they know they've got the right answer.
Let's play a game. Okay, let's play sit down, stand up. Monkey, sit down. I'm sitting. Okay, now Monkey, stand up. I'm standing. Great.
So I just modeled that for her. Even though I assumed at her level she was going to know what sit down and stand up was, I just kind of made it a little bit easier for her at that point. Okay, the next is at 16. Oh, this is the fun part. The first fun part of this class, which was stressful for me. Overcoming obstacles. And most of you'll have two different types of obstacles. One is on the side of the children, how they participate and what kind of environment they are in and their technical difficulties, and your own technical difficulties, which will be vast.
A movie to watch. There is a really fun song. There's a really fun song about the parts of our body. Let's see if you know the parts of your body.
So I usually have two different videos open at all times in case one doesn't work. I open one video into its own tab, and then it's a little bit bigger. And if it doesn't work, then I can go back to the regular coaching system and use that. In this situation, I think it was something with my audio driver on my computer. It didn't fix until I restarted. So my whole lesson, I had garbled audio like this.
This song sounds funny. Let's listen. That doesn't sound good. Let's try here. I think this song sounds bad today. Maybe there's a problem. Do you know the song that sounds like this? Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.
So at that point, I just gave up at the audio, but when you've done, the great thing about child classes is that you often teach the same class over and over and over again, so you're gonna know the song. So just give up and try to go to the next thing. Don't spend more than a minute working on any, even less than a minute in a child class, working on any technical difficulties, because you don't want the parents to think that there's any problem. Number one, if there is a problem, you don't want anyone to notice it. And number two is like you only have those few precious minutes to sell them on your teaching. So skip to the next thing whenever you need to. I think that was the first example of overcoming obstacles. All right, let's skip over to testing. And in this example, you'll also see some overcoming more obstacles.
You can listen carefully to the word and tell me which picture is it. I think I'll draw some numbers here. This is number 1. Number 2 is here. This is number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. Tell me, which words match picture number 1? What number 1? What's this? Good job. Well done, Alyssa. Now, let's try to make a whole sentence.
What's a sentence?
A sentence is many words, Monkey. Like this.
Number 1 is head.
Perfect. Can you say that, Alyssa? Number 1 is head.
Number 1 is head.
You got it. And you got a star. Well done.
Oh, I want to try.
Okay, Monkey, you can try.
Number 2 is knees.
Good. Your turn, Alyssa.
Number 2 is knee.
You got it. Okay, continue. What's number 3?
Number 3 is mouth.
Yes, it is.
All right, I'm just going to skip forward a bit. So I was just testing her ability to make sentences there. Whenever I watch my own classes, which is a very useful tool, by the way, and if anyone needs instruction on how to see your own classes, you can message me in WeChat. When I see that now, I realize, why would I say number 1 is head? Why didn't I say number 1 is a head and have an actual sentence that somebody might use in life? All right, let's go to the part where I had my next obstacle, which was, let me find my notes, sorry. Well, I was gonna play all of this, but it looks really boring.
Apples.
How many? 1, 2.
Okay, I remember why I wanted to show this part of the movie now. So after you test for a certain level, you have to make sure that you're getting to the level of challenge. So I started testing after I found out that she could do all 6 of these. Then I asked her about my fingers, and I asked her, does she know these things? What are these? She did know fingers, and then I found out that she didn't know elbow. So that, like, reaching the end of their abilities is really important in the trial class, because that will help you, number 1, determine their level. Number 2, report on something that they knew and that they didn't know, and also send them away with a new word through the class, because you wouldn't want to spend the whole time just figuring out what they know, because at the end of the class they haven't learned anything, and the parent won't be motivated to sign up. All right, let me skip to teaching and selling. So I find that even though the model for this company is not teaching, it's coaching, parents still want to see teaching and learning. We just have to keep it in short chunks and make sure that it's very obvious that they're learning something new. So here's an example of learning something new in the first lesson.
Great! Let's make a sentence. Say, I have 2 elbows.
I have 2 elbows.
Well done! Let's see if you can match the word that we listened to the picture. I'm going to change these numbers. This one will be number 1. Here's number 2. Here's number 3. And the last one with the little baby is number 4. Now you just have to listen. Listen carefully.
Head.
That sounds funny.
Head.
Can you find the one that sounds like a head? Which one is a head? Number 1, 2, 3, or 4. A head.
Number 4.
Great! Can you say a whole sentence? Number 4 is a head.
Number 4 is head.
Good, Alyssa. Okay, which one is mouth?
Number 3 is mouse.
That's right, nice sentence. Here's another star. Which one is shoulder?
Number 3 is shoulder.
Great job! I like how you're pointing to your shoulder. Which one is knee?
Number 1 is knee.
Well done.
Sorry, I keep pressing the wrong button to pause it. So I really like taking the opportunity to do a repetitive exercise where the child is doing something that you've taught them over and over and over again, and the parents can hear, oh, look at all these sentences she's turning out, when really we know it's like a really kind of mundane exercise, and the child will get bored if you do it for too long. It still sounds really good to the parents, so I consider that a good selling point to do that, especially with Find My Word. Oh, more overcoming obstacles. Oh yeah, okay, so you heard the garbled sound again when I started that exercise. I didn't realize that it was my computer and not just the song that was doing it. So I just quickly decided to choose the words myself instead of, it's a pretty obvious fix, instead of listening to the computer. All right, the next section is on coaching and rewarding. 14.
Question. Please read the sentence with the correct answer. He has. What color are his eyes?
Blue.
Great! Now let's take that word and put it in this sentence. Can you please read the sentence?
He has blue eyes.
Very good. Listen to me and say it again. He has blue eyes.
He has blue eyes.
Try one more time. Say, has.
Has.
Great. He has blue eyes. Well done. Okay, now we have to decide which words go here. She has.
So you can see that it's obvious that she doesn't understand the words that I'm using to instruct her and to ask her the questions, like, read the sentence using the correct word. She didn't understand any of that, but I did coach her through the exercise. And fortunately, these exercises are repetitive enough that they just end up doing it themselves once you get them through the first couple of ones.
Has blah blah hair. Can you read these ones? Let's work together. Does she have long hair like me or short hair like Monkey? Long? Oh, okay, good. Read the sentence using the word long. She has long hair.
Has long hair.
Good girl. Okay, you get a star. Now, read the second sentence. She
has big ass.
Great. Well done. Good reading. Now, listen carefully. She has big eyes.
She has big ass.
Did you hear her say ass? She has big ass. So I didn't take the opportunity to correct her pronunciation there because I really was so happy that she was talking so much that I didn't want to push her too far or confuse her too much about why she was getting it wrong. But I did later in the exercise help her with the pronunciation. All right, there's still a little bit more here.
Nice. I like how you pointed to your eyes. Good job. Let's look at the parts of these bodies. Does he have big eyes or small eyes?
Big ass.
Good. Say, he has big eyes.
He has big ass.
How about his hair? What is his hair like? Is it long or short?
Short.
Good. Make a sentence. He has short hair.
He has short hair.
Nice job. Let's look at picture number 2. Ooh, what do her eyes look like? Maybe you can tell me the color. What color are they?
She is blue ass.
Nice job, Alyssa. That was a great sentence. She has blue eyes. Oh.
So I did something there that I wouldn't do in a normal class, which was I asked the same question in a lot of different ways. That was part of me testing her ability to understand what I was saying. So I said, does he have big eyes or small eyes? And what does she look like? What do her eyes look like? I was just sort of testing the waters there. I was also testing out what she could understand at different paces. So sometimes I talk a little bit faster and a little bit slower and see what she's able to follow. And this next part, I'm testing to see if she can change the pronoun in a sentence to talk about herself.
How about you? What color are your eyes? What color are your eyes? Are your eyes blue?
No.
No? What color are they?
I have black ass.
Nice job. Be careful when you say eyes. Let's listen to Monkey. I have black eyes. Listen, Monkey. Eyes. Ass. No, not as. Eyes. Eyes. That's better. Say eyes again. Eyes. Good. Alyssa, say eyes.
Eyes.
Perfect. You got that perfectly. Well done. You have black eyes.
Whew, it was so good. Like I felt like I invested some time and she finally got it in the end. The other thing is you have to be careful about how long you're going to linger and wait for them to get something. The only reason I gave her a lot of time to answer the question of I have, should be brown eyes, but they always say black eyes for some reason, was because I was pretty sure she was able to do it. If it was a level 0 kid or if I didn't have confidence that she was going to be able to make that sentence, I wouldn't have waited for so long for her. Okay, testing and correcting, that's what I was just doing there. So I was testing her ability to understand my questions and understand my voice at different speeds. I was testing to see if she could change the pronoun to herself, and I was correcting her pronunciation. At 1950 as an example of playing, which I think is really important, especially when you're in the meat of the lesson and you're kind of engaging in them and testing them. It's taxing for them and it stops being fun at a certain point. So you should develop your own arsenal of quick little games that you can bring in when you see them start to get bored, or if you feel like everything's getting really heavy. This is one that I often do with this unit.
Now let's do this game. Touch your nose. Okay. Touch your nose. Touch your fingers. Touch your shoulders. She knows all the parts of the body. Yes, she does. Okay, let's play Monkey Says. What is Monkey Says? I say Monkey Says, and you do it. If I don't say Monkey Says, don't do it. You go first, Randall. Okay, tell me what to do. Monkey says, touch your nose. Good. Touch your eye.
So unfortunately, you can't see her very much in this video. Just like a couple of times that you see her in the video, you can't see her reaction to it. And everybody knows how to play Monkey Says, so you guys don't need to see this part of it. I was just instructing her. One thing to be careful of in a trial class is don't bring in anything that's too complicated. Sometimes when you have a regular class, then it's not bad to invest 3-4 minutes to explain a new game that you're going to be playing for the next few weeks. But in a trial class, you want to get through the material more quickly, so you should keep your games pretty simple. She never really got the idea of Simon Says. She just touched everything that he told her to touch during the Monkey Says, which was fine. But I think I probably would save that for level 2 now. I probably wouldn't try that again at level 1 unless it was a very advanced level 1. But do have an arsenal of games ready to play when they get bored. All right, and the end of the, here's the end of the lesson. It's an example of testing and reporting and rewarding and reviewing and selling. And one thing that I failed to do in this lesson is to review the words that she had learned and the sentence structures that she had learned. So I'd already written here, elbow and I have knees. I should have brought that up again, but I kind of ended the lesson abruptly because it was a 25-minute lesson and I was using the VA. Let's see, everything else I did fairly well. 21:58.
If you can read some of the words we practiced today. Can you read this word?
Knees.
That's right. How about this one?
Shoulder.
Alyssa, I think you're very good at reading. Can you read this word?
Black.
Yes, okay, I think you can read all of them. Let's see. Start with number 1.
Knees. Tails. A head. A nose. Mouth. A shoulder. Shoes. Long, big, small, black, blue, brown, pink, green.
Wow, great reading. But this last word, this is not green. Can you try this last word again? Gray.
Now.
Say gray.
Great.
That's right. Do you know the color gray?
Now.
Let's take a look. I'll show you a picture of gray. Are these beautiful colors? No, these are not beautiful. These are all gray. This color is gray. My favorite color. Oh, what do you want to say, Alyssa? Yes?
Now.
Okay, Alyssa, my favorite color is blue. My favorite color is yellow. What's your favorite color? My favorite color is... What is your favorite color?
My favorite color is pink.
Oh, that's a great color. Okay, let's look at some pink flowers for Alyssa before we go. Here are some pink flowers for you because you did a very good job today. You are very good at reading. You worked hard to make new sentences and you remembered new words. Great job, Alyssa. Let's give you one more star. How many stars does Alyssa have today? I don't know. How many does she have? Let's watch. 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 20.
end music's kind of annoying, but they have since reduced the volume of it. Okay, it's question time. If you can raise your hand, you can raise your hand. And if you can't, you can just ask your question. Nobody. Oh my gosh. So quiet. Okay, well then I'm gonna ask you guys. Oh, yay, questions. Okay, Caitlin.
On the music at the end, there's the stars side and then there's the goodbye song. How long are we supposed to let that music play with the stars?
It's not something that the company has talked about.
Okay.
In general, the end of the lesson is usually about 2 minutes long, which is supposed to be review and goodbye. So you can mix it in however you want. I think like the first time kids see all those stars add up, I think they get excited about it.
Yeah.
In my regular classes, which some of my classes, the kids are really, really competitive and somebody will cry if they get less stars than somebody else. So some of my classes, I always keep them level stars all the time. So they're kind of bored with the whole song at the end. Anyway, they all know how many stars they got. So it depends on the class and what you think you need to do with it.
Well, I tried letting it play one time and it'll go a long time. And I was like, okay, obviously we don't just let it play.
Yeah, there's no end to that.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Amel? Is it? Sorry,
Yes.
I already forgot. Is it Amel?
No, it's perfect. Yeah, Amel.
Okay.
So my question was also in regards to the stars, but you kind of answered it. I have one, it's not a trial lesson, but I have another class where I have 2 students, and one of my students is a lot stronger than the other one. And so it's very easy for him to accumulate a lot of stars. And I feel awful at the end of the lesson to have Jack have 47 stars and for Hannah to have 10. So the first lesson I kind of gave him like 1 more, so it didn't seem too imbalanced, but I feel like she still looked unhappy about it. So now I just do it equally. And that was my question. I was going to ask the other teachers, do you give equal stars or do you allow them to be competitive?
Equal.
It depends on the students. Sorry, go ahead, Christine.
Just agree with you. It depends on the student in the class. If they're competitive and they like have fun with the game part, then and they're cool with it. But if anybody gets upset in any way or has a weird face, it's even Steven throughout.
Yeah, okay, that's what I did. I have another question, if I may. So I was an online teacher before with another company, and I'm used to 25-minute lessons. I find 28-minute lessons, that 3-minute additional part at the end, challenging a bit, because sometimes it's hard for me to end precisely at 28 minutes. And that being said, so sometimes I'll be like 29 minutes, and I find that I'm rushing to get to the next class. I can't run to the bathroom in between or have a sip of water. So I don't know what anybody else does.
I have my workspace organized for all like eventualities. Like I've got like Tylenol in one corner and I've got tea in the other corner and water in another corner. And I know if I need to use the bathroom that I need to end right at 28 minutes and then go quickly and then come back. So you can prepare yourself in advance for any kind of eventualities. One thing that helps me to end classes on time is to have an outro that I use every single class. So, and my kids all know it, and I ask everybody, what day is it today, everybody? And then they tell me what day it is. And then I say, what day is tomorrow? And they tell me what day tomorrow is. And then I say, I'll see you on. And then they tell me when we're going to have our next class. So I can make that a little bit longer if I want to. I can talk about like Friday, like, oh, it's Friday. Oh, and tomorrow's the weekend. And if I have like a whole minute left, I can ask them a question about the weekend or something like that. But basically, like as soon as the clock is at 26 minutes, then I know it's time to bring in my outro. And then the kids also start to figure out like this is the
Okay,
end
so
class.
you start from 26 minutes. Okay.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any tips on ending your class on time and how to get to the next class on time?
I don't have any tips, but I do have a question.
Okay.
I have a student who likes to talk a lot. She speaks a lot during the class, so I find when I have a class with her and it gets to 26 minutes about, she's still going on about different topics that aren't really related to the lesson at all. And I find that's great, but also I have a hard time trying to find ways to get her to realize that the class is almost done and we have to finish, because sometimes it will go to 29 minutes. So what is something that I could do for that?
Well, you want to give them an audio, both an audio and visual clue that they get used to. You can explain it to them the first time that you use it so that everybody knows, like, oh, when we see this picture, class is over. And since she is so talkative, you don't have to say class is almost over. You can say class is over now, and she'll still talk for those other 2 minutes at the end, but at least you've given yourself 2 minutes to let her talk herself out. So using the review page or the stars song, sometimes the really talkative kids, when they're talking, I'll just open up that star song in the end and they have to talk over it if they want to, but they figure out that class is over when they see that. Do you have other kids in that class, or are they alone right now?
Yeah, it's 2 students in that class.
And are you having a challenge equalizing their talk time?
No, because it's usually just her that's speaking, and the other one doesn't really speak much because her level's a lot lower, I find. So she's not as comfortable speaking as much as her, so she just keeps quiet.
Okay. It is important because parents will watch how much their kid speaks compared to all the other kids, and the kids and the parents of kids that don't talk, often they won't renew after they've bought their first subscription, whether it's like 3 months or a year or whatever like that. So it is important to try to equalize the amount of time that they get. One way that you could do it is to use, Christine mentioned that she's doing this with one of her classes. She's using the kid who's most advanced as an assistant, and she will ask the other student questions on their behalf.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea.
You can use the talkative student as a model and then ask the exact same question to the quieter student, and then they feel a little bit more confident that they've already heard a correct answer and they can copy it.
Okay, yeah.
Another thing I wanted to mention about stars is you can use the stars in any class the way you think the students need to be used, to have them used. You don't just have to give stars for correct answers. You can give stars across the board for participation. So if you have kids at our different levels, sometimes the kids will complain and you have to explain to them, like, oh, we give stars just for talking, because there's some kids in this class that don't like to talk. So as soon as they talk, they get a star. So everybody, if I answer a question and you answer, if I ask a question and you answer it, you're gonna get a star, and you don't get more stars for more talking, because I want to bring down the level of talking for those really talkative kids. You can also, if you have problems with behavior, you can also give stars for good behavior, and make sure you're showing why you're giving the stars. Like, wow, look how nicely you're doing. Oh, look, you remember to raise your hand instead of interrupting your classmate. Good for you. Here's a star, something like that. So you can tailor it to every class that you have. Sorry for keeping you waiting, Kelly.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'm learning too. I was wondering, because I haven't done trials in a long time, so I just kind of wanted to keep my mind sharp, I guess, if I ever eventually get one again. But even this could apply for my regular classes, but I've gotten talked to a few times because I left a kind of a long pause, especially in trials too. Like I will try and make sure to give the student enough time to really open up and give the answer, but then they said it was too long of a gap of a quiet, silent part. So, and I noticed in your video, you did give some time, but not like too long. But so I want to know, how do you decide on how long to give the child to think?
I would never let the silence get awkward. That's my kind of first rule. Like there's certain, like we all have our own kind of like social normality, so we're all a little bit different in that way. But there comes a point where it's like if the parent walked into the room and stood there for a few seconds and I didn't say anything and the student didn't say anything, they would think that the class was over or something like that. So that's the kind of thing you want to avoid. Definitely another problem with waiting for them to answer is that that's when the parent really wants to jump in and give them the answer. And we want to do everything we can to stop them from doing that right from the very beginning, like make them feel confident that you've got this and you don't need their help in teaching the class. And they don't need to teach they don't need to help their kids either. I think when you get to know the students, then you can have a sense of how long they need to process things. Another thing you can do with the upper level students, if they can understand you, is if you can see that they can't figure it out, but they need more time, you can say, okay, I can see you're thinking about it. Keep thinking about it. I'm going to ask Tony. I'm going to ask you again. Keep thinking. Tony, what do you think the color of the sky is? And then come back. And so let them have that extra time to think. And if you do have kids that need extra time to think, put them at the end, always. Let them hear the answers of all the other kids first. Yeah.
Okay, good idea.
Thanks. Another thing you can do, Kelly, is talk while you're giving them time. Say out loud, take your time. Or say something to let anybody who's watching the video later or the parents who are watching now, let them know that you're doing this on purpose and for a reason. Like, I can see you almost have it. Keep thinking, or give them little hints to reduce the amount of silence, but let them have a little bit more time.
Like I will say the first word of the sentence. I count to 5 of silence and then I'll say I, and then I'll count to 5 again. Am. So if they're not getting it, at least it's not more than 5 seconds, because that's where I feel like it gets super uncomfortable.
Okay.
It's a good example, Christine. I've actually literally done that before. Like I have my fingers underneath down here, like 1, 2, 3, 4.
And that's that little 10-second timer thing. For myself, sometimes I'll cover it, but it reminds me like speak up or say something. So sometimes they stop thinking and they're just like playing all of a sudden, and I'm like, no, you have to kind of keep their attention.
Okay. Amel?
So 2 different scenarios. One, again, it's in when you have multiple students in a classroom. So I do the roll call, which I think is a lot of fun. But so, for example, I have one classroom with Jack and Nunu, and Nunu is my weaker student, if you will. And so I'll say, okay, Jack, whatever, what color is it? And he'll say red. And I'm like, okay, now it's Nunu. I'll be really, really emphasized. Now it's Nunu's time. Nunu, what color is it? And then Jack keeps answering. So I'll say, great answer, Jack. Now let's ask Nunu again and see if she can get it. And I really try to emphasize, like, we're giving her a chance. Does anybody ever use, like, the mute button, or is that too hardcore?
I do.
Always.
I do.
use it almost every class.
I'm like, mute.
So what do you say? How do you do that without being abrasive, I guess?
I just press the button.
Just press it.
If they unpress it, like some of the kids will I have one kid, this is an example, the other day saw me muting him, and I actually wrote a note to his mom that he needs to stop unmuting himself because he's got weird audio. So every time I muted him, he would unmute himself and get this sly little ha-ha look, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
I'd mute him, and then he would do it again, and I was like, ah! So
I do that back and forth.
I had to give the serious, if I mute you, it's because I cannot hear someone else. Do not unmute yourself. And it stopped. And I felt bad, but it stopped, and it kind of just nipped it in the butt. And Mom heard, and I think he might have got a little bit in trouble, but it was bad. It was like 10 minutes of this whole back and forth game, and I was ready to kick him out of class.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm going to do that then, because he's always dominating. Yeah, he's always dominating the class, and I really emphasize. I said, okay, now let's give her a chance. He still answers, so I'll do that. I just felt a little bit bad.
And put it in
the
your
other
note,
one was
like in a real positive note. I'm sorry to interrupt, but make sure you put in your progress note that whenever I mute so and so, it's not because they're in trouble. It's because I cannot hear the other students speaking, so that the parent knows they're not in trouble. but they need to keep it on mute.
Okay. Okay, good. The other one was I had an awkward, it was actually today, I had an awkward trial lesson where I had a 2-year-old, which is challenging. A 2-year-old is really young. And the brother was on the camera as well, and it wasn't a 2-person lesson. It was only a 1-person trial. And the brother was answering everything, even though he was technically not my student. And so I couldn't mute in that scenario. And I was trying to be sweet to the brother, just saying, oh, it's really great, but it's your sister's lesson. Let's see if we can get your sister to answer the questions. And then finally the parents gave up and they said, listen, she's too young. I don't think this is for her. So kind of ended not so great.
I would, did you WeChat in your group, like Coach Emil's group? Because you could send a WeChat and say, there's a second brother that keeps interrupting. Please tell the parents, and they'll immediately text the parents right then and there.
Okay.
That's the only thing I can suggest for that. That's hard.
Okay. Yeah, because it wasn't a 2-student class.
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say bye. Thanks for all your tips, Randall. Your video was really good.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Nice to see you,
Thank
Kelly.
you.
Bye.
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 I think you did probably all that you could do in that situation, except Christine's suggestion. I definitely would have done that as well, like asked for some additional assistance, because sometimes you can't really talk directly to the parents. If you can see the parents and if you get a feeling like you're able to talk to them, like you can even, especially if the older boy was old enough for you, you could say, can I talk to your mother or your father? Like if he could understand you, then you can stop, because you kind of lost your ability to sell. You might have been able to get somewhere with a 2-year-old, but not with an older brother in the room. Sometimes you have to be assertive right from the very beginning. And it's one of my weaknesses, actually, being assertive, but this job kind of brings it out sometimes, especially when you've got something to do and you've only got 28 minutes to do it. One thing I wanted to just point out is this is something that I made about a year ago for some of my classes where I was having behavior problems. And I think Linda has a copy of it. If you want, you can ask her for it. So I especially had this problem where kids were interrupting each other, and I had to initiate a hand-raising policy. And that's the best problem that you can have, because it means the kids are actually talking. It's way better than when the kids refuse to talk. But back to your question about what do you do when one kid talks over another kid, definitely use the mute button as much as you need to. But try at the beginning to explain to them. For example, I think you said, yes, that was a good answer. I wouldn't reward them in any kind of way if they answered during somebody else's turn. I wouldn't have said that's a right answer, that's a good answer, or anything. I would just immediately say, it's not your turn, Tony. Let's listen to Nunu, or whatever the kids' names are, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, just keep shutting them down politely. Like, that's not your turn. It's not your turn. Let's wait for them. Blah, blah, blah. Don't forget to raise your hand. And then if you need to, then you can I put this on a PowerPoint presentation. So what I did is I took like one slide every day for 6 consecutive lessons and spent just a couple of minutes on it to make sure they understood it. This is about level 2 level. So if it was like a less one, then you could do something with less words. And I mean, everybody understands raise your hand, but you could adjust your own class rules to what you want them to be, and they might need to be different for different classes. But just be careful about how you reward, and don't be afraid to tell them when they're doing something wrong. And it is nice to tell them, like, oh, I muted you because I couldn't hear your classmate. You would definitely want to let them know when they're doing something wrong, and then include it in your report. And also teach them the word interrupt. Oh, don't interrupt me. Remember, raise your hand. Don't interrupt your classmate. Remember, raise your hand. Oh no, if you interrupt again, I can't give you another star. Don't interrupt. So keep bashing them over the head with the same thing.
Okay, good.
Okay. I don't see, I've got all these messages, but I didn't see any. Okay, everybody's saying, I have to go. Okay.
I have to go. That's me. I'm sorry.
Bye, Christine.
I was like, I'm gonna wait so I can say goodbye. Bye, everybody. It was good to see you all. Thank you,
Bye.
Randall.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, and there were 4 remaining. Well, 5 including me. So any other questions? I can see everybody on the same screen now. Thank God. No?
I do have another question.
Go for it.
It's not about trial lessons, so I apologize if it's not totally relevant,
No.
but
At this point,
I
we're
have
just
lessons
replying.
that say, show your homework. And then when I ask them if they have any homework, they say no.
What do you mean, like in the learning outcomes, or like where do you see
No,
that?
it's part of the lesson. So let's say, like, I don't know, the second slide will say, show your homework. And then I'll say, can you guys show me your homework? And then they say, I don't have homework.
Well, for sure, if they're Chinese and they're children, they have homework. So maybe they think that you're talking about the homework for the class that you're in. Maybe you have to specify your school homework. And if that happens, then you might, like, sometimes when you teach the same units over and over and over again, you find the kind of pitfalls and traps that might happen in different ways that you can word questions to be more successful next time. So maybe the next time you taught that same one, you would ask them at the beginning of class, what did you do today? Did you do homework today? Now, they already admitted to you that they did homework that day. Great. Let me see your homework. Sometimes if you come up to an example like something like that, and they don't understand, or they don't want to share, or for whatever reason it's not successful, just skip to the next thing. Like, you don't want to spend a lot of time. It's not like someone's going to look at your video and say, oh, she's not a good teacher because they didn't show their homework. Like, all you can do is try. And sometimes they don't understand, and sometimes not every exercise works well with every student. I have one challenge right now in level 4 where I'm teaching a unit called My Favorites, and they're supposed to talk about their favorite TV shows, their favorite singers, their favorite athletes, their favorite actors, their favorite books, their favorite everything. And most of them don't care about most of those things, especially the boys. They have a favorite athlete and that's it. Everything else, like, I don't watch TV, I just do my homework. Like, okay, well, can you think of any TV stars? I don't know any TV stars. And I Google, like, famous Chinese TV stars. You've never seen any of these people? You can't even tell me their name. I don't know any of those people. So sometimes we're trying too hard to accomplish the task in the material might be detrimental to your time. You might try to find, like, alternative ways to get the same learning outcomes.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
It's not really about teaching, I guess, but with the other company that I work for, like, the payroll, you can see it immediately, like, you can keep up with it. And so I'm just 2 weeks into this, and so I've taught a lot of trial lessons, and I have no way of knowing which ones signed up as far as, like, what I'm going to get paid. Do you have a certain way you go about getting that information? Or I mean maybe you don't care, I don't know. I care, but
yeah, there's a lot of question marks in that area. Sometimes it's difficult to get clear answers. What I can tell you is that I've had really good experience with this company, and I feel like they're really honest in their bookkeeping, and I've, like, kind of found other information in different ways, and I've always found, like, oh, like, their accounting is better than mine. I keep my own Excel spreadsheet, and I know when I've done different things and everything. So I wouldn't worry about it too much, but also don't worry, like, don't be afraid to ask, and don't be afraid to ask repeatedly. Just in your WeChat coach thing, just say, like, I did these classes, can anybody tell me how many trial classes, like, which ones have been signed up and which ones not. Yeah, as we go forward, I've been with the company for about 2 years, and they were startup when I started, but they'd been open for a year, but they were trying a lot of different platforms at the time. And since then, communication with coaches has gotten a lot better and a lot more organized, but there's still, like, a long way to go. And it would be nice for us to be able to log in and see the trial classes and everything. And I think it'll come in the future, but we're just not there right now.
Well, and I don't mind, and they've been super nice and helpful. Like, my other company, like, I'm glad that's there because they don't respond to emails at all. Like, they don't even talk to you. But basically, they're like, just don't talk to me. But I asked and they didn't answer, and I thought, well, maybe they don't want to tell me. Like, I don't know. So I'll ask again.
Yeah, ask again. And if you ask something and you don't get an answer, like wait a day or however long you think is appropriate, and then choose a specific person that you think might be your contact. Like if you don't, if it's about a regular class, you would ask your homeroom teacher. If it's about child classes, Linda's running all of those. So you just write at Linda, and then she'll specifically get the
Good. They've been really nice. I just didn't want to be awkward if it was like something that we just didn't talk about. I didn't know. Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
Yeah, I've got one.
Oh, go ahead, Jason.
So with regards to the trial reports, I was just wondering how in-depth and individual they each need to be.
It varies per coach. Let me see if I can, oh gosh, I don't have an example of a trial report with me right now. I would definitely say, like what I try to do is at least 2 sentences, like minimum. If I have not really much to say, I would say 2 sentences for each category, like listening, grammar, blah, 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 blah. And then for the overall report at the end, then it's more sort of paragraph style. If you, like, your ultimate goal is to convince the parents to sign up, right? So sometimes you'll have a class and it's kind of obvious that this student is perfect for their level. They don't have any behavior problems. They don't have any like specific problems with pronunciation or grammar or anything like that. You don't have any specific advice, so you can give them like kind of more tamped down, but say as much as you have to say about the student is my advice. So sometimes I'll write a little bit less for some students. Other students I have like more ideas, or they have to look out for more things, so I'll write more. But yeah, my personal thing is like 2 sentences per category plus paragraph answers.
And do you always need a recommendation outside of the classes? Like flashcards and that kind of thing?
Outside of the classes? Oh, no, not necessarily.
Okay.
But you can have an arsenal of like 10 suggestions that you can copy and paste into there. Like keep your own Word document on your computer that are just like regular, like let them watch English movies, or to like help them like learn English songs because they need to work on their listening skills, or, you know, like flashcards, something like that. So you could have those sentences ready to just copy and paste in if you don't have anything specific to say about that specific child. But recommendations could also be in class. Like, I recommend that you find a more suitable learning environment because that corner of the house is really busy and noisy. There's a lot of different kind of recommendations that you can make. Just think whatever is more pertinent to that child.
Okay, great.
And if you have nothing to say, that's when you can use the kind of like boring ones that just kind of apply to everybody.
And I guess one other question. So I've only done like less than a week of this. Today I had 2 trial classes. They're both level 0 4-year-olds. And with both of them, it's pretty much the exact same. Right about the 20-ish minute mark and onwards, the kids just like, obviously they just lost all attention. They didn't really care anymore. Kind of wandering off and getting distracted with his toys and stuff. This is where you would bring in the games and that kind of thing. Is that right?
I would actually try to bring it in before that point.
Yeah.
Because I find that once you've lost their attention, it's harder to get it back. So sometimes, especially with the younger kids, I break things up. Instead of just a kind of bombardment of questions all the time, I try to like show some sometimes I'll even like give myself 5 minutes. Like, it's been 5 minutes and I've just been asking a lot of questions. So I'll just go in and like decide to show a picture of delicious food, or like honestly, this is one of the best ultimate things that you can do is just bring their attention back with something funny, and like, oh, what is this cat doing? Is that a bed? No, that's not a bed.
And is Google Images kind of one of the main things you go to? Like, is there anything else we can use besides that, or just stick with Google Images, Safe Search?
You can use anything as long as it's appropriate to their level and appropriate, like, you know, like no sexy stuff. Yeah, and if it's much better if you have additional materials that are specifically about your unit. But sometimes you just have to break up the whole topic that you're talking about, give them like a little mental break, even show them like a 1-minute video, and then find a way to make them say something in English about that video, and they've been entertained a little bit, they're more likely to continue with you and like trust you to not bore them to death if you give them a little break. Mr. Bean videos are really good at that. You just have to make sure you keep it really short and then find a way to make it productive by making them say something in English about the video.
Yeah. This is one thing I struggled with because coming from the previous company I worked at, we were very restricted in what kind of outside content we could use. Like we couldn't even upload images. I guess just because maybe they had issues with inappropriate materials or something. But, yeah, so I have to remember to use that.
They've had some varying policies over the years, but right now the policy is that you can use your own additional materials as long as you are showing all the slides in your set, in your material, and that you're getting the job done. Your additional material should have something to do with your topic and your learning outcomes. But you can throw in games that are not necessarily related to your learning material if you need to give them a mental break for a few minutes. It's like 2 minutes. Like I Spy with My Little Eye, or Hangman, or like a clapping game or a song, something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Definitely TPR is a good way to break up a boring class.
Sorry, what is TPR?
I can't remember what it's called. Total physical response.
Total physical response.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Whatever. Clapping, moving. Go ahead, Amel.
Sorry. Okay. So 2 questions again. So speaking of appropriate or inappropriate, I have a little girl. She's 5 years old. She's quite advanced in her English level, and she's quite dominant in her personality. So we were talking about work. So what kind of jobs people do. And one of them was a police officer. And suddenly she says, I want to see a video of a police officer catching thieves. So I was a bit nervous if I was, going to Google that, what I would come up with, even if I, so I did police catching thieves kids. And so I found this cute one with a dad cop catching 2 kids. And then she said, this is not a real one. I want to see a real one. And then I said to her, I'm worried that if I find a video, it's going, because she was quite advanced. I said, I'm worried that it's going to be something scary. And she says, I want to see, and then she got really, really mad at me. So then in the WeChat, I messaged and I said, in the WeChat, I messaged and I said, listen, this is what's happening right now. I showed a cute video. She doesn't want it. She wants a real one. And they said, oh, that's fine. She likes really stimulating things. You can show it to her. So I was like, still uncomfortable with it, even though the WeChat group said that's fine, give it to her. So I found one and it was like Bad Boys, which one? It was one of those. And I showed it to her and she liked it, but I just didn't feel right about it at all. Like you just see cops pulling out guns and like tasering people. And so I don't know, that was a really, really weird experience for me. And I'm not sure if when I have her again the next time, if I'm in that scenario, what I would do.
I think the thing to do in that situation is listen to your own level of comfort more than hers, because you are not comfortable with showing a child this kind of content, and you can straight up say, I'm not, like, not that you're worried about her, but you can say, I don't want to see that. Like, that is scary to me. I don't want to see that, so we can't see that.
Okay.
I do that. I have one class that only wants to see, like, they're all boys and they only want to see scary pictures of zombies. So like my strategy is like, I'll do like zombie clip art. If you add the word clip art into anything, it kind of dumps it down a little bit. Like it.
Yeah, I tried to do that and she was so upset. She's like, this is not a real police. And I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah. So what I've done in that particular situation said, oh, I don't want to see that picture. So we're not going to see that picture.
Okay.
Because you're still in charge.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. Oh, yeah, it was a weird scenario. The other one is, you mentioned just before in the previous question that it's really important to finish all the slides before showing additional content. I had a really, really great lesson with a student today where she was really speaking a lot, and we took a lot of time on the slides, but it was because she was speaking so much, and it was great. It was really amazing. We didn't end up finishing all the slides, but I thought that wasn't an issue because she was doing such a great job at speaking so much or additionally on each slide that we had covered. So do you think that I really should have focused on finishing all the slides?
That's tricky. Yes and no. So coming from a teacher standpoint, go with like the thing that's working. Yes, keep them talking in the way that's working, as long as you're working towards the learning objectives in your conversation with her. Know in that you're a new teacher and you need to prove to the company that you understand that you need to use all the material that they're providing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that as you build your relationship with the company, they probably trust you more to like run the class the way that you want to run it, and as well as like the parents trusting you and the kids trusting you and everything like that. So I think right now is the time to be more comfortable. And also, just because you have to show all the slides doesn't mean you have to do what you think might be the prescribed. You've noticed that there's no prescribed activity for any of these slides, except for the one exercise at the end of each of them, like those little things that they call simple missions, just pictures and words. You can decide to talk about the pictures, you can decide to read the words, or you can decide to just show that as a background as you talk about a subject. So you can spend like 30 seconds on each of those slides. If you think that it's either not appropriate to their level or they're not getting anything out of it, just be there, have that as your background, and make sure that they've seen all of the material for that lesson. And you also don't necessarily have to finish all of your content and then do additional materials. As you get to know the content a little bit better, you'll notice that some days are sparser than others. So you'll be able to put in like at the 10-minute mark, now we're going to play this game, and then we're going to go back to our content. And then at the like 18-minute mark, I'm going to show this picture, do that. We can like work those into your lesson plans, the additional materials.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, I think it's time to end it. So additional questions you guys can ask other coaches in the Coach A group. If it's specific about trial classes, we have the trial class group, I think. And anything HR or administrative related, then you can ask questions in your Coach Randall group, Coach Your Name group.
Awesome.
All right, it's nice to meet you guys, and I guess I'll see you in
Thank
the next staff
you.
meeting or training session.
Yep, thanks so much. Bye.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Randall.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.